Most people know Robin Williams as the man who made them laugh until they cried. What most people don't know is what happened on June 14th, 1993, on the set of Mrs. Doubtfire, when the cameras weren't rolling. A 19-year-old extra on his very first real job in Hollywood made a mistake. The director lost his temper. The kid was about to be fired and escorted off the lot, his dream ending before it ever began. And then Robin Williams, dressed as a 60-year-old British nanny, stepped between that kid and the director and refused to move. What happened next never appeared in any interview, behind-the-scenes documentary, or press junket. But years later, director Chris Columbus told the story and said, "That was the day I learned the difference between a star and a hero." To understand why that moment mattered, you have to understand what a film set really is. It isn't magic. It isn't creativity flowing freely. It's a machine, a precise, unforgiving machine, where more than 100 people work together to capture maybe 2 minutes of usable footage in a 12-hour day. Every minute costs money. Every mistake costs time. And time is the only thing no one has. There's a hierarchy on a set, rigid as the military. At the top is the director, then the stars, then department heads, and at the very bottom are the extras, the people meant to blend in, fill space, stay invisible. They're expected to stand where they're told, move when they're told, and above all, not mess up. Because if they do, there are hundreds more waiting to take their place. It was June of 1993, stage 12 at 20th Century Fox. Mrs. Doubtfire was deep into production. The movie was a logistical nightmare. Robin Williams spent 4 hours every morning in the makeup chair, buried under prosthetics that turned him into an elderly Scottish nanny. The suit was heavy. The lights were brutal. The process was exhausting. He arrived before dawn, filmed all day in layers of latex and padding, then spent another hour having it all removed. 5 days a week, for months, and he never complained. The crew adored him. Between takes he cracked jokes, did impressions, remembered names, and asked about people's families. He made an exhausting shoot feel survivable. Chris Columbus was directing. This was before Harry Potter but after Home Alone. He was talented, respected, and under enormous pressure. The studio had taken a gamble on a strange comedy about a man disguising himself as a woman to see his kids. It was expensive. It was risky. And Robin, brilliant as he was, could be unpredictable. He improvised constantly, sometimes forcing dozens of takes. Columbus was stuck in the middle, trying to protect the creative magic while keeping the production on schedule. And on this day, that balance finally broke. They were filming the restaurant scene, a complicated setup with dozens of extras, multiple cameras, and tightly choreographed movement. The crew had been working since early morning. By mid-afternoon, they'd captured barely a minute of usable footage. One of the extras was a 19-year-old kid, new to the industry, nervous. Watching Robin Williams work felt like watching a master class. The way he shifted between characters, the way he commanded attention without demanding it. The kid was in awe. His job was simple: sit at a table, lean forward at the right moment, look natural, don't draw attention. They rehearsed, take 1. A technical issue, take 2. Almost perfect, take 3. Another problem, over and over again, delays stacked up. The heat was unbearable, everyone was tired. By the 8th take, the kid's leg had fallen asleep. When the camera rolled again, he shifted slightly, just enough to look unnatural in the background. Good. No yelling, just a reset. But the pressure kept building. On the next take, he overcorrected and missed his cue, then again, then again. By take 12, when he leaned forward a fraction too early and pulled focus from the scene, something snapped. The director stood up and pointed at him. "Who is that?" The assistant director checked the list. "An extra." "This is a professional set," the director said. "If you can't hit a simple mark, you're done. Get off my set." The kid froze. The room went quiet. A production assistant started walking toward him to escort him out. And then Robin Williams stood up. Still in full Mrs. Doubtfire costume, he walked straight toward the director. No shouting, no theatrics, just calm certainty. "We need to talk," he said. They stepped aside. No one could hear what was said. The conversation lasted barely a minute, but when they returned, the director's expression had changed. He cleared his throat, looked at the kid. "I'm sorry," he said. "That was unprofessional. Take 5 minutes, we'll reset." And just like that, it was over. But Robin wasn't finished. He walked over to the kid, pulled up a chair, and sat across from him in full costume. Everyone nearby could hear him. "You know how many times I've messed up today," he said. "A lot, missed lines, missed marks, messed up jokes, and nothing happened, because that's the job." He paused, then added, "The only difference between you and me is that nobody yells at me when I screw up." The kid didn't know what to say. Robin leaned in. "You're doing fine. That last take, that was good, trust it, and if anyone gives you trouble after this, you come find me." They reset the scene. This time the kid nailed it, relaxed, natural, perfect. When the director called cut, he smiled for the first time all day. "That's it, moving on." The kid stayed on the film, finished the shoot, kept working, slowly built a career, nothing flashy but steady, and every time someone asked how he made it, he told this story. Years later, when Chris Columbus was asked about his favorite memory from Mrs. Doubtfire, he didn't mention a scene or a joke. He talked about that day. He said he'd been so focused on schedules and budgets that he forgot he was working with human beings. And Robin reminded him. Robin Williams passed away in 2014. When he did, people shared stories about his comedy, his talent, his genius. But the quieter stories mattered just as much. The ones about kindness, about showing up, about protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. That day on set, he didn't just save a kid from being fired. He reminded everyone what it means to be human. A star makes you laugh. A hero makes you feel seen. And on that day in 1993, Robin Williams was both. Here's a shorter, cleaner version of the ending, keeping the emotion but tightening it up. Robin Williams passed away in 2014, and people remembered his talent, his humor, and his unforgettable performances. But the people who worked with him remembered something else, his kindness. That day on set, he didn't just stop a young actor from being fired. He reminded everyone that mistakes don't define a person, and that compassion matters more than perfection. In a business known for pressure and ego, Robin chose empathy. And that's why, long after the laughter fades, his impact still remains. When the news broke, the world mourned a comedian. They replayed his funniest scenes, shared his wild interviews, and quoted the lines that made them laugh for decades. But the people who had worked beside him remembered something deeper. They remembered the way he treated others when no one was watching. That day on the set of Mrs. Doubtfire, he didn't step in because cameras were rolling. There was no audience, no applause, no headlines waiting to be written. He stepped in because he saw a frightened young man about to have his dream taken away over a mistake that could have happened to anyone. And instead of letting the system crush him, Robin used the only power he had, his voice, his reputation, his humanity. He didn't yell. He didn't embarrass anyone. He didn't make it about himself. He simply reminded everyone in that room that they were working with people, not pieces of a machine. That behind every extra, every crew member, every nervous kid trying to do their job was a person hopping to belong. The kid went on with his career. The film went on to become a classic, and most people who watched it would never know what almost happened that day. But the lesson remained, carried quietly by those who witnessed it. Because real greatness isn't found in fame or talent alone. It's found in moments when someone with power chooses kindness instead of convenience, when they protect instead of punish, when they see someone struggling and decide not to look away. That's what Robin Williams did that day. He didn't just make people laugh. He made them feel seen. And in the end, that's why his legacy still matters.